A lot of people have questions about meditation. Most of the times people ask me that I have to be active in the world. What will happen if my mind is not there? All these are not just the theoretical discussions and no practical value because we have to function in the society. Their understanding of meditation is not correct. Action is built into us. As long as sansar is there, action will have to be there. From the time of the creation of the universe, first three basic elements were created: the electrons, the protons, and neutrons. They are in motion themselves, especially the atom, the structure, if you realize, which is made out of electrons, protons, and neutrons. The speed of each molecule is astronomical. If you look at the speed of individual particles, in the center there is a nucleus, and surrounding are the electrons. In the nucleus, the neutrons and protons are sitting. Now, if you look at the size of an atom and you compare with the dome of St. Peter's Church, which is humongous, and you put a grain of sand in the center of it, that's the equivalent of the size of nucleus compared to the size of the atom itself. And the speed of the electrons which are encircling the nucleus is very fast, 50, 60,000 miles an hour. But that's a free space. But as the space gets narrower, the speed of the particles keeps getting higher. It's like a ball is thrown into motion and it is bouncing continuously back and forth between the two walls of a room. As it is going, all of a sudden you put another wall right in the middle. Now it has a shorter distance to travel. So the speed of the ball will go higher. Same way, if you compare the speed of the electrons, which is 60,000 miles an hour, and you go into the center where the nucleus is, which is the size of a grain of a sand compared to the church, St. Peter's Church dome, the nucleus is very, very small. So naturally, the speed of the protons and neutrons will be a lot faster because of the smaller space available. And even then, they are moving continuously. And in the nucleus, the speed reaches to 186,000 miles per second. So as you can see, the universe is created with motion. So there is no unmotion anywhere. So all our actions, our desires to act, are a reflection that we will be acting. If you decide not to act, then you are going against the nature of the universe. But there is a fundamental difference what action constitutes. Action is, the way we understand, is to do something which takes you from point A to point B. And the point B is your goal. To do that from one place, to go from one place to another, you require the mind and the thoughts. And then you have to use your body and 5 senses to achieve that goal. So basically we are all doers. And that's the only way we have known the world. We always have needs. And with the modern world, the needs are expanding ever, all the time. So we feel we are in the center of the action. We do a desire. Desire takes you from point A to point B. And once the point B is reached, we feel good that we did some action. But that's a misconception. If you analyze an action, it requires you to be there in the center. But that's where the basic problem comes in. We think that body and the mind is us. They are not. They are the equipments given to us by the swirling particles which have come together and created an entity called you. So we tend to presume all the actions require you. But that's not true. Even if through the meditation you disidentify yourself, actions will still happen, because actions is the nature of the universe. Everything is in the motion. So there are fundamental differences between action, inaction, and then there is a third one, which is unaction. So action is full of activity. Inaction, where you deciding not to act, but that's at the mind level. Because first the mind had decided to act, and now the mind is deciding not to act, because people think that through meditation you got rid of your mind. So now there is nothing available to do any action, so you will be in action. But that itself is also a decision taken at the mind level, that you don't want to act. But that's against the nature, against the principle. So if through the meditation, with the right understanding, you realize the nature of the mind, action will still happen, because consciousness wants you. Consciousness needs you. You, your body, your mind, everything, to carry out a purpose of life. You look at the nature documentary, there are a lot of flies which are born for one day, for the whole purpose to find a mate. And they do mate and die. They have nothing more than one day available to carry out the purpose of the universe, purpose of the consciousness. So action will still be happening through you. You will be still acting just the way you are acting, except you are realizing and removing yourself as an actor. Even after Arjuna realized that life and death are the same, death is only to the body, he still acted, because that was his role that had to be performed. He did not become inactor, knowing the futility of action. Action, the way we understand, means a desire. Desire is something you don't have and you want to get, so you become active. That has been the engine behind our all actions. But to find your inner self is a different mechanism altogether. People utilize the same technique to get to the soul, being a doer. They think that they have to travel, they have to take a long journey, so they try. Try itself is stopping them from getting to the self. Doership itself is preventing them from reaching to the self, because there is a fundamental difference. The outside objects which play in the duality. Duality is where we choose between the objects. Like you like something, you don't like something. You like someone, you don't like someone. And then you choose whichever you like, you go towards it to get it. So there is a distance, there is a time. All these elements are required, so which requires the thought process. And that's where the mind comes into the picture. But to get to the self, this has to be dissolved and realized that you cannot reach to the self by being a doer. Meditation is all about non-doership. You're just taking a break from your daily routine, because we wake up in the morning, we realize you're a male or a female. You have a role to play as a child, as a father, as a mother, as a brother in the house. When you are taking your car to work, you're a driver. You have responsibilities as a driver. When you reach to your work, you're an employee or an employer, and you have a job to do. So our roles are continuously changing, which require us to do things and meet the expectations of the society. So our existence all day long is in relation with the rest of the world, and that defines our role. But that's very superficial. When you give up all the notions of doership and you start observing the thoughts, and when the thoughts disappear, the self is already there. Self is something which is yours. It is you. Our run outside is to get something that you don't have, whether it's money or a fame or recognition or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever. The duality requires an action. As Osho says, dhan chaho ya dhyan chaho, pad chaho ya paramatma chaho, चाह ही संसार है. Whether you require money or meditation, whether you want a high position in the society or you want God. Want itself is the wrong technique in meditation. When you want something, you always think that there is some distant goal that you have to reach. No. In meditation, the proper technique is not to do anything. Give up the notion that you will do something to get the self, the God, the consciousness. when you give up all the concepts and you just feel the self, you reach their destinations automatically. All we have to do is we have removed the clouds of the mind, false concepts that you are the doer. Before you were born, the world, the universe was still going on. And after you are gone, it's still gonna go on. You yourself were created. So obviously, there are bigger forces at a mission, purpose. Action was already going on. It's impossible not to act in this world. You will be compelled to act. But giving yourself up by thinking that you are the doer, you're removing all the stress, anxiety, whether you will get or you won't get. What you get, whether you will keep it or not. All this stress happening at the mind level will not be there. And you will sink into the soul, where you just enjoy the existence. And at that existence, the self starts rising. And it lets you get a glimpse of infinite consciousness. But you reach there only with one condition, that you have to become a non-doer. Action will be there, but you are not the doer. By not dwelling into reaching the self as a goal, you will reach there. That's the oxymoron state of the meditation. When you give up all the desires, because the self is within you and it is you, you can achieve and get only what is not yours. And what is not yours never stays with you forever. But the self, which is you, will be always there. You just have to realign your thinking. And then you will realize that what you already are, what you already have, you don't have to work to get it. Give up the notion of doership and enjoy the freedom of the self. Have a good day.